Don Kelly begins his time at the helm with a series win against the Braves, and it was already noticeably different looking. Find out what I mean next on Locked On Pirates.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Welcome to Locked On Pirates. I'm Gary Morgan. I absolutely want to talk about this weekend series. There's news from it, observations. It's just got to be discussed. So we'll start there. Then, like it or don't, I'm going to talk about potential Pirates to trade this year. I'll explain why and on each and every one of them. And I think when I get through it, you'll understand why we have to discuss it. First, this weekend, the Pirates, as you well know, fired Derek Shelton and Don Kelly took the reins. In fact, he's still his own bench coach. So, I mean, not the greatest situation in the world. Bucks win 2-3 from the Braves, had a legitimate shot at the middle game, but they let it slip away. I hesitate to give this coaching change some kind of insane effect on this team. I mean, look, the problems are still there. And the Braves right this second, well, they aren't the Braves we've been expecting. But how can I not a little, right? I mean, the room looked sad for their old ball coach, but in a way resigned that it was coming. They knew. Come on. Paul Skeens said as much. Then Don Kelly just started doing little things. Made a call to swap in Canario for Pham on Friday last minute. He'd later credit Pham being under the weather for that, but he subbed him in defensively later, so And then again, Canario started over him Saturday, and then again Sunday he starts, this time for a nicked up O'Neal Cruz, but regardless, he rewarded Kelly with extra base hits in every single game. So, good move. Number one, pull a lever. It seemed to work out for the most part. They ran the bases with a little more purpose. They fought back. Body language, the effort, even baseball competency looked a little bit better. They still left a ton of runners in scoring position. They still get far too few extra base hits, but the effort was there. The communication was back a bit more. Finally, Kelly mentioned after the game why he played Majinski the way he did, aka wasn't the plan. And Kelly said no, he just kind of watched him and liked what he saw, so he wanted to get a couple more out of him. Nothing planned. To me, this and how he handled like Ryan Baracki, asking him to give the club an extra inning because he performed efficiently, not the plan, just what it takes. Hell, he even found a productive way to use G1 Bay, who stole 2 bases, as a sub in the series. It's better. It was never the whole problem, but it'll be better. I think that's the major takeaway from this weekend series against the Braves. A lot of people, I guess, were pretty excited that Donnie got himself run in game 2. The strike zone really was terrible this whole series. It was terrible for both pitchers. I really mean that. I felt like Chris Sale was getting hosed on some calls. I felt like Carmen Majinski was getting some insane calls for him and some against him. Some of our hitters were just getting calls on pitches like 6 inches off the plate. I mean, you can't expect a guy to succeed when umps are like that. I hate that. And both of these teams are struggling offensively. Obviously, the Pirates a lot more than the Braves, but for the Braves, this is as cold as they get. And, Pirates aren't playing all that great either. So it didn't help. And then the pitching was legitimately good from everybody, like bullpens included for the most part. The Pirates really were 2 bullpen blowups away from this being a really, really clean sweep of a series. They had a bad incident on Saturday night from a guy who hasn't been having problems, and the game got away from them. Game almost got away from them here on Sunday as they surrendered a tie with Joey Wentz giving up a bases juice double with a pinch hitter, Murphy. So there's a bad lever pull by Kelly. I guess a lot of the point with Don Kelly was it was nice to see him try. I felt like he was trying. I really did. They won this game without O'Neal Cruz. I honestly think, like, as bad as they've been playing, O'Neal Cruz has kind of been the one that's kept his head up and kept doing what he's been doing, getting his walks, getting on base, stealing bases. He's not getting as many hits, but he's just not seeing much to swing at. And when he has, he's connecting here and there. I'd love to see him get on a heater, but nobody's going to pitch to him until Brian Reynolds starts hitting. And I thought if he had gotten injured at any point during that stretch, we thought we saw the team quit now. Imagine that. I think they would have just collapsed. So to see them come out there and I thought play a pretty tough game against a real tough pitcher. Chris Sale is no joke. And say what you want about this whole Carmen Mlodzinski thing. Listen, I still ultimately think he winds up back in the bullpen. I think that makes the most sense. But I'm not going to offer him up in a trade package, but Carmen Mlodzinski is making himself somebody that you would have to consider a pretty decent get if you're another team. You've got a fallback of an excellent bullpen arm and a guy who is consistently capable of giving you 4 or 5 innings as a starter right now and maybe more. And he's got a nice repertoire and he does seem to be doing well. I don't think it's got a lot of legs, but all I can say is, like, going into this game, 2 of the Pirates' previous 3 wins were in Carmen Mlodzinski starts, and now that's 3 of 4. Make of that what you will. I'm not going to sit here and interpret it for you. If you think that's a thing, okay. I'm just pointing it out. It's not his doing entirely, but he's also not killing them, if that's the case, right? He's at least handing off a manageable game at that point. This was a positive series and a positive step, I think, in a lot of things we wanted to start seeing. A manager who was going to use his gut a little bit more. Does seem like he's making a conscious effort to do that. Called a pretty gutsy double steal late in this game that really turned the tide. I like a lot of what I'm seeing. I'm not going to pronounce anything right now. I don't even know if this GM is going to survive this year. We're going to talk a lot about that GM being an issue here when we get into the next segment. We're going to talk trades. That's right. Buckle up, everybody. Did you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, or I guess eggs, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. All right, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. I am your host, Gary, again. Hey, make sure you do me a favor and subscribe if you aren't. I do shows at wacky times sometimes, and I'm not very good at announcing it, unfortunately. I will get better at it. But I'm not great at it right now, so if you don't want to miss anything, subscribe. It's the best way to make sure. It's free. I'm not going to hound you. You won't be getting a newsletter because of it. Just do it. It helps me, it helps the show, and it helps you not miss anything. So, regardless of who's in charge of this Pirates team, and I mean like whoever the general manager is, there are some things that I think the Pirates have to do. 3 guys in particular that I think they have to trade. The Pirates will have to make an honest effort to do things differently. They have historically not done these things correctly, okay? And I don't mean to save 2025, but I mean to pull this thing from the tailspin that it's kind of looked like it's growing into. You're not going to get the one you want. Bob's not going to sell. So let's just move past that for now. Spending or not, there is absolutely no reason this franchise shouldn't have themselves in position where the team they've built internally can sustain and produce a roughly 500 record. Bare minimum, that's what should have been produced by now. They've built enough pitching to ensure they can make that happen. And beyond that, they could have spent the dollars they did spend a little bit more wisely. I think there's just simple ways without adding anything to the payroll. This team should be at 500. The rest of 2025, this team should improve. I know. You don't want to hear about all that, but Jones, Chandler, Oviedo, Moretta, Ashcraft, Burrows, Harrington, Barco, that's all going to be in the conversation. They're going to get Horowitz back. They're going to get Gonzalez back. They're going to get IKF back. None of them are Vladdy Jr. They all help. Guys like Cook and York and Nunez and who knows? Piguero and Gorski could take off. Maybe Canario, who started to hit a little bit here, could find something. Point is, they should get better. And I didn't even mention Brian Reynolds, who always heats up when the thermometer does and or his wife delivers. If you know, you know. That's just internally. And while I don't want Ben Cherington making large trades here, the start has ensured that they have a few trades. They have no choice but to execute. There's no going back here. This has to happen. So let's start. Isaiah Kiner Falefa. Let's read his recent quote first about after the Shelton firing. It's just an interesting quote. Everything that could have gone wrong in the organization these first 2 months has gone wrong. You're talking about things that are happening outside of our control. This is not what I envisioned coming into getting traded here last year. This year so far has been extremely disappointing for me. So he's caught Bucko fever, everybody. And boy, it didn't take all that long, did it? This trade was going to have to happen. But not being in the race, it's just something that they better start planning and laying track for now. He's a nice bench pickup on a prorated contract that isn't all that expensive in the first place. So you should be able to do okay here. He has no control beyond this year, so you can't get crazy, but you should be able to get yourself a top 10 or 20 prospect if he continues to play reasonably well. Nobody will be requiring him to be their shortstop, though, so they can just use him as intended, if you ask me. Either way, can't miss here. Even if the player they get is far away, it needs to be a quality and not a quantity type pickup, preferably offensive oriented. He'll be a free agent. You won't offer him a qualifying offer. You aren't in anything. Move him whenever it presents itself. for the best return you can think you can get. Don't wait for the deadline. I mean it. If somebody comes and knocking next month, do it. You've got kids, play the kids. Listen, he's okay, he'll help, but he's not worth holding on to just to try to make some kind of faux run this year. Andrew Heaney. This was just about always going to be the plan. Even if they were in a heated race, the hope was that the pitching would grow him out, and there would be no room for him anymore, or push him into the pen. Now you just don't need to act like it was a painful last-second decision. We'll see how Heaney does for a while here before we decide what kind of return you should look for. He's hit a little road bump lately after a very hot start. Last outing was pretty decent. Chances are, though, he looks a lot like a free agent signing he was. And fat arms, especially lefties at the deadline, usually will net you a decent prospect. Maybe just about what you would be looking for with like IKF. Or you might be able to flip him into a reliever with some team with some control left. That's been a nice return option for this team with rentals a few times now. They got Moretta, Holderman, Oviedo, different degrees of success there. A couple injuries. But that's a smart way to build out a bullpen with options for a couple years. Lottery ticket is fine here too. But he gone. Gonna happen. Doesn't have to be now. You can hold on to him until the deadline. But if you hold on to him beyond that, you're wasting time. Wasting an opportunity to better yourself too. David Bednar. Here's probably the controversial one in this segment. David went to the minors, figured some stuff out, and right now he is a humming. Thank God, because he was not tradable before that, and now he is. He has one more year of arbitration, and frankly, the Pirates should not even entertain picking it up. We've already tasted how quickly it can fall apart, and at his age, I don't want to pay him what figures to be over $7 million, only to turn around and have to trade him at next year's deadline for a lesser return. I have no interest in extending him. I just don't believe he's going to trend in the right direction for that. But you could be selling Adair. I say dominant back-end reliever. Should he continue to pitch this way anyway? With a year of control on top. That might just return a prospect who has a hard time making a stacked team, or a blocked prospect who should have gotten a shot by now. That would be my hope anyway. Bullpens win championships, and teams will pay for it. To me, it's a gigantic waste of a resource to hold on to him. If there's a PR hit, honestly, I mean, Bob's likely to fire this GM anyway. Just blame him. This needs to happen. Those are all trades I absolutely think have to happen this year, regardless of who's in charge, meaning whether I want Ben Cherington making deals or not. He's the one that's here, and if he's in charge, I want those deals made. Somebody has to. Bednar is very simple. If you're not going to want to pay him over $7 million next year and take him to arbitration, and that's light. It could be 8. Really? I wouldn't want to do that. I'd rather trade him to somebody that's probably going to pick that up and not care, or just flip him off themselves and still trade him for a decent amount of control that he has. He could help this year if he's pitching like this. That might not be the worst thing for him either. Good landing spot, an opportunity at the playoffs. Sorry to see the hometown guy go, but it's time. Probably should have been time last year. Next up, it's guys that I don't want Ben to touch, but we really should start talking about trading them. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. I love them when I'm on the golf course. They really help me get through 18. I wish they'd help my score a little more, but I certainly feel like I have a little more energy by the time I get done, which is always a good thing. So get snackin' and get crackin' with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. All right, so those were trades that I felt had to be made now, regardless who the GM is. These are trades I'd rather wait it out. If you're going to fire Ben Cherington at the end of this season, I would much prefer the next GM make these deals. But these are things that I think we need to start considering. Okay? If I felt more confident in the GM right this second, there's a couple of these that I might recommend right now. I'm just not convinced that I want Ben Cherington to do it. Okay? Mitch Keller. Yeah, I know. We just signed him. With a young staff forming, I love the idea of a seasoned veteran starter that was homegrown and chose to extend here as the leader of the staff. Thing is, I don't think Keller has or will become that. Don't get me wrong. He's a good pitcher, a solid 3 or 4 starter. You know exactly what I said he was when I wanted him to extend them. And extending him was absolutely the right move. Had they not, we'd likely have seen him dealt in 2024 with 1 more year of ARB attached. Now you're selling a guy with 3 more full seasons of control. That's an answer for someone for a few years, and it really should net you an answer of your own. You've made him more valuable by extending him as opposed to trying to play that game where you're getting close to where arbitration is ending and you're trying to deal him off while you still have a little bit of control. You're paying for control of Mitch Keller. That's why he's worth a little bit more right now. His AAV is around $15 million. That's annual average value. About $15 million for his contract. It makes him extremely tradable. And more than that, they make him attractive to teams who are in it or think they're close to being in it, like in the next couple years, or even just trying to prepare for losing someone comparable in stature from their own roster to the free agent board next year. The Pirates have to not miss here if they trade Mitch Keller. In fact, they need to see his salary not as something to dump, but something that allows them to seek salary in return. This could be a deal with a team like the Orioles, who have young offensive talent, some of which is at the MLB level, some almost there, and they don't have a direct contract swap deal the Pirates could look for here. But they do have some guys like Ryan Mountcastle, Kobe Mayo, Heston Kjerstad types, and honestly, I think Keller should probably get you 2 of those. I mean, 2 are unproven commodities who haven't broken through. 1 is established, but established as not being a huge star, just a competent bat, offensive help for pitching help, a real honest-to-God baseball trade. The Dodgers always seem stacked. Gee, I wonder why. But they also come up short on pitching as the season wears on. And at least as it comes to like their comfort level with what they have, they've got some prospects that wouldn't be blocked anywhere else, like Dalton Rushing. We've already seen them have to deal off Michael Busch and Gavin Lux to keep adding veteran free agents. And you could see them have to do even a bit more of that. It could afford you an opportunity to really get something out of them. And they certainly won't care about eating his salary. The Red Sox make a lot of sense too, with more and more young talent coming, such as Roman Anthony, Marcelo Mayer. I mean, they might need to get creative and make room. And while they've invested in their rotation, Keller would slot right in and solidify their unit. The Pirates could eat some salary, but not as much as it would take to like get Devers or Story. Not without the Sox eating a decent amount themselves. But there could be a match here. Somehow, they've got young talent as well. Anything that brings back MLB ready bats is a good marriage for Mitch Kellerdeal. He is their biggest chip that I'm comfortable selling. Truth be told, if they developed bats, I'd never suggest this. I'm just rolling the dice that I can use him to help balance the scales and praying that they finish the job of developing one of their young pitchers into a capable replacement. That has to be the goal here. That's the predicament you've put yourself in. All right, this one's not going to be fun either. Again, this doesn't have to be right now. This is stuff I don't want Ben touching. So we're talking off season into next year. These things could be considered. Joey Bart has 2 more years of arbitration. He's not going to get super expensive. You might be looking at $3.5-4 million next year, maybe, depending on what he does here. Problem is, he isn't going to get super expensive because he's Joey Bart. He doesn't really play really good defensively. If you're a WAR believer, well, let's put it this way. Joey Bart has this is maybe yesterday, I think I looked this all up, has a 0.6 WAR for 2025, and that was in 31 games. Henry Davis, a far superior defender and less so with the bat, clearly, has a 0.3 WAR in only 12 games. See where I'm going? Now, Bart hits, but DH is kind of taken here, and he isn't capable of playing other positions. First base was tried like way back in San Francisco. It didn't go well. I'm not saying they should trade him. I'm just saying they could. I think what I need to see is Henry or Andy really start to hit. If they do, this is a no-brainer. And, you just get the best you can. I suppose if Andrew McCutchen were to announce plans to retire, you would have another reason to want to hold on to him. But to me, I mean, he's on track to lose his starting catcher gig regardless at some point. Just defensively, you can't build a team with the backbone of starting pitching and then make your starting catcher a defensive liability. I mean, well, not if you want to win anyway. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you sacrifice the bat. Look what he just did this weekend. I think he was, 6 for 7 or something? 6 for 8? Yeah, the bat's valuable. Guy we got to start considering, though. Jared Triolo. This isn't a big trade. I mean, he has a lot of control. He's cheap. He's a hell of a fielder. Gold Glove winner. And all he has are the measurables that make him look like somebody that a smart team might be able to find offense in. I think of him like a young Kike Hernandez before he turned into the Kike Hernandez that we know he is in the playoffs. A skeleton key type kid that you can put anywhere and play anywhere and get decent defense. And the Pirates have other options coming like Malcolm Nunez and Jack Brannigan if you're really, really worried about Ke'Bryan Hayes at third base. Oh, and speaking of Ke'Bryan Hayes, I'm putting him here, not because I think he'd get a lot of interest. He's a hell of a glove, but nobody wants a starting third baseman that hits like he does, especially one with a chronic back problem, and the league won't forget that. Just because he has a healthy season, it doesn't end that. This one would wind up feeling like a salary dump, and bluntly, he doesn't make enough for it to be true. That said, the return could reflect that you're asking a team to take on a commitment for the next 4 years with a guy who is sure to underwhelm at the plate and likely to not play all of those games. I'm sure you could get some prospects, but not anyone's top guys. In fact, you'd likely get someone else's project, maybe a couple of them. And this isn't as simple as some World Series bound unit having their third baseman go down to injury, because you're not buying a rental. You get by for a run. You're buying someone that you're going to have for 4 years and making a bit more than you'd like to pay a bench player, even the Dodgers. All right. I mean, you got me. I put this one on here because, frankly, I can't see a market for him. I'm of the belief we'll have to at least get to the point where he's only got like 1 or 2 years left on his deal before that's going to ever happen. There's other guys I know that people are worried about. O'Neal Cruz, Brian Reynolds, Andrew McCutchen, not going anywhere. This is not going to be a full-scale rebuild, everybody. It just isn't. I know it gets scary sometimes, especially when we start talking about trades, because some people hate it. But I think it's realistic to look at it. A team like this isn't going to lock up everybody that they have. And honestly, look at this team's record, and before you tell me like same old, trading off all our guys, well, you know what? All our guys created this record. So shouldn't we sift them a little bit? I think so. Thank you for making Locked On Pirates your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts.